Hello there, this is the World News at 12 on Voice of the People, 90.3 FM. My name is Chioma Innocent, and here are the top stories. Suspected herdsmen kill 7 in Benue midnight attack. World Bank reveals more Nigerians expected to fall into poverty by 2027. Reps Committee grills Rivers administrator behind closed doors, and Kyiv mayor reveals Ukraine may give up land for peace. Details now. Thank you for staying with us. The World News at 12 begins on the foreign scene, where the mayor of Kyiv, Vitaly Klitschko, has told journalists that Ukraine may have to give up land as part of the peace deal with Russia amid growing pressure from U.S. President Donald Trump to accept territorial concessions. But the mayor stressed that the Ukrainian people would never accept occupation by Russia. He was speaking hours after a Russian missile and drone attack on Kyiv killed 12 people and injured more than 80. It was one of the deadliest Russian assaults on the Ukrainian capital in months. Russian President Vladimir Putin launched a full-scale invasion of Ukraine in 2022, and Moscow currently holds about 20% of Ukrainian territory. Klitschko is now one of the most senior Ukrainian politicians to indicate publicly that his country may have to give up territory, albeit temporarily. The Kyiv mayor and Zelensky are political opponents. The mayor has repeatedly accused the president and his team of trying to undermine his authority. In a tragic development back home in Nigeria, 7 people, including women and children, were confirmed killed and several others missing in a fresh attack by armed herders on Agbov and Gav community of Udam in Gwe, West local government area of Benue State. VOP News gathered that the killings occurred at about 1 a.m. this morning when the gunmen suspected to be herdsmen launched an attack on the community. Sources confirmed that the assailant came in the middle of the night when people had retired to bed and started attacking the community. Efforts to reach the spokesperson of the Benue State Command to confirm the incident were unsuccessful. Meanwhile, the World Bank Group has stated that more Nigerian citizens are expected to sink into poverty by 2027. This is contained in the World Bank's Africa Pulse report released at the ongoing spring meetings of the International Monetary Fund (IMF) and the World Bank in Washington, D.C., United States. The report noted that the sub-Saharan Africa has the highest extreme poverty rate globally, with a large share of the poor concentrated in a few countries. According to the Bretton Woods Institution, about 80% of the world's estimated 695 million extreme poor resided in the region in 2024, compared to 8% in South Asia, 2% in East Asia and the Pacific, 5% in the Middle East and North Africa, and 3% in Latin America and the Caribbean. The organization stated that specifically for Nigeria and the Democratic Republic of Congo, both classified as resource-rich but fragile countries, poverty is expected to increase by 3.6 percentage points between 2022 and 2027. The House of Representatives ad hoc committee investigating the political situation in Rivers State has begun a long-anticipated session with the state sole administrator, retired Vice Admiral Ibok Ete Ibas, behind closed doors. The meeting, which had been postponed multiple times, comes as the House exercises its constitutional powers to take over the legislative functions of the Rivers State House of Assembly following heightened tensions and governance disruptions in the state. The sole administrator appeared before the committee for the first time. In his remarks, he apologized for his earlier absence and requested more time to adequately prepare a comprehensive briefing. He explained that he's still settling in the new role, appealing for understanding and patience from the lawmakers. Shortly after his plea, members of the press were asked to leave the room and the session proceeded behind closed doors. The sole administrator was scheduled to meet with the committee on Thursday but failed to appear. In a recent development, the former Senate President and ex-governor of Kwara State, Bukola Saraki, has reacted to the defection of Governor Sheriff Oborowori and Ifeanyi Okowa of Delta State. Saraki explained that despite the massive defections, the People's Democratic Party (PDP) is better off with loyal, sincere and committed members. In a statement released on Thursday, the former Kwara State governor urged members of the PDP to remain calm as he said there is no cause for alarm over the defection that has hit the party. Stating that he has been inundated with calls over happenings with the PDP, Saraki said the party would be repositioned for good. According to him, when the defectors are done leaving the PDP, the party can then stay focused to play the role of a viable opposition. He also said he's convinced that it is important for the PDP to re-strategize for the good of Nigerians and the country at large. Now, despite the festering insecurity in many parts of the country, Vice President Kashim Shettima, state governors, and some ministers rose from the National Economic Council NEC meeting on Thursday without discussing the issue of state police. Answering questions from State House reporters after the NEC meeting presided over by the Vice President, Bayelsa State Governor Duye Jiri said they could not consider the issue of state police due to many of the presentations entertained by the Council. He, however, promised that the issue would be exhaustively deliberated upon in their next meeting. You're currently listening to the World News at 12 right here on the Voice of the People 90.3 FM. We'll take a short break and return with more news and the news analysis segment. Do stay tuned. Welcome back. You're still listening to the World News at 12 right here on Voice of the People 90.3 FM. The presidential candidate of the Labour Party in the 2023 presidential elections, Peter Obi, has attributed Nigeria's stunted growth and rising poverty levels to the failure of political leadership over the years. He also lamented that Nigeria has more poor people than China, Indonesia, and Vietnam combined. Obi made this assertion while delivering a lecture on politics and change in Nigeria at Johns Hopkins University in the United States on Thursday at the invitation of Professor Peter Lewis, renowned author of Growing Apart, Comparing Indonesia and Nigeria. Sharing highlights of the lecture via his verified X handle today, Obi emphasized that the fate of a nation is closely tied to the quality of its leadership. Obi compared Nigeria's trajectory over the past 35 years with that of three other developing nations such as China, Indonesia, and Vietnam, and pointed out that while these countries have moved into higher categories of human development, Nigeria has regressed. Meanwhile, the Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) has not yet made a decision regarding the leadership of the Labour Party following a recent Supreme Court ruling. Multiple sources in the Commission confirmed to journalists on Thursday that the Commission was still reviewing the court's judgment, saying no decision has been made yet on the Supreme Court judgment of the Labour Party. Another official said the decision would only be taken after INEC has studied the certified true copy of the judgment. The Supreme Court had on April 4, 2025 overturned an earlier ruling by the Court of Appeal that recognized Julius Abure as the national chairman of the party. The Apex Court held that the Appeal Court lacked jurisdiction over internal party matters. We'll now head into the news analysis segment right here on Voice of the People 90.3 FM. I am being joined by a veteran journalist, political, social, national and international affairs analyst, Mr. Peter Anoske. How are you doing today? Thank you for joining me. Good afternoon.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for coming. Let's begin with the World Bank saying that more Nigerians are expected to fall into poverty by 2027. A lot of people have called the incumbent president a political strategist, saying that when it comes to politics, it's almost as if he has A1 in politics, he knows what it's about. But a lot of Nigerians are saying when it comes to governance, he seems not to really have a grasp of it, right? Now, a lot of Nigerians, we know that they are much poorer than they were before the 2023 elections. A lot of Nigerians are much poorer than they were in 2015. A lot of Nigerians are getting into poverty every day. You have some political analysts who will tell you that we no longer have a middle class. What we just have now is the rich and the poor, because there is no middle class. There are no people who can actually afford some kind of basic amenities. So you have people who are on the lowest rung of the ladder and people who are on the highest rung of the ladder. And to get from one point to the other takes a great leap. Do you agree with what the World Bank is saying, and also what Obi said about Nigeria having more poor people combined, more poor people, that there being more poor people in Nigeria than in China, Indonesia, and Vietnam combined?
Well, I agree with the World Bank. I also agree with Peter Obi.
Okay.
The truth is that there's no poor country. What we have is a failure in the management of resources. There's no poor country anywhere in the world. What we have is failure in resource management. And it is failure in resource management that results to poverty, which is a leadership problem. So what's happening in the country is that we have people who don't know how to manage and harness our natural resources. They don't know how to harness and manage our population. They don't know how to harness and manage our diversity. Nigeria is a country of over 220 million people. There's no country in Europe that has our population. And the population is wealth. Population is market. But we don't have the right leadership that will turn our population to productivity. That's why we are known as a poor country. So what we are having in the country today is a leadership challenge, and Tinubu may score A. That's in politics. But what people want is an A in economy, an A in welfare, an A in well-being, an A in security. But this present government has no answer to all this. That is why we are where we are at this point in time.
You have repeatedly said that the economic model President Tinubu or this current administration is using is coming from the World Bank and the IMF, right? And now we have the World Bank telling us, oh, if we continue with this trajectory, we'll have many more Nigerians poorer in 2027 than they are right now. And also, the IMF is advising President Tinubu to broaden Nigeria's tax revenue base in order to solve economic hardship. What does that even mean, and how would it help?
Well, what does a teacher do for you? A teacher opens a gate for you, but you have to walk the walk. You have to walk the walk. So Tinubu is adopted the IMF and politics verbatim. When you adopt an idea or a program, you domesticate it the way it will fit into your own country. So what Tinubu is doing now is exactly what Babangida did between 1985 and 1993, which did not work. So government is about the welfare of the people. That is the single responsibility of government, ensuring that the people that's in a given space are comfortable. For INEX, for World Bank, IMF saying that he should broaden our tax. It's just to diversify. Diversify. Don't focus on just taxing other people. No country, even KPMG, one of the biggest accounting firms in the world, told Tinubu that no country can tax itself to prosperity. That's what KPMG told Tinubu about a year ago, that no country can tax itself to prosperity. When the people are not, when the economy is not moving, you are taxing people. What you are doing is creating more poverty. So World Bank is right, and P2B is also right. We have people in power who knows next to nothing about governance.
If that's the case, and we have a lot of the people involved in politics, a lot of our political elite and the president's aides, governors and all of that, being more focused on the elections coming up in 2027 than in governance. Ever since the 2023 elections ended, the only thing that a lot of people, both Nigerians and politicians alike, seem to be concerned about or seem to be talking about is the 2027 elections. So at what point are they actually going to focus on governance? Because the 2027 elections, there are a lot of governors and even the president may be elected for a second term, right? Is it that, oh, the first term is for campaigning for a second term, then they will not work in that second term? What is it that Is it that it's that second term that they will not actually work better for the people by saying, oh, thank you for electing me a second time, now it's time for me to actually sit down and work well for you? At what point are Nigerians going to actually enjoy the dividends of good governance if the people that are supposed to be providing this good governance are more interested in winning elections and defecting to other parties?
Well, before the election, remember, I said if you vote wrongly, prepare to suffer. I said it before the election, and that's what is happening now. Maybe Nigerian votes may not be all the problem, but INEC and our justice system everywhere in the world, you use your first term to work to get your second term. That is it, because election is a referendum. Election is an appraisal. After your first term, people will judge you by what you have done. Nobody builds a reputation with what he will do in the future. You build reputation with what you've done in the past. So for you to run to get second term, you have to campaign with your achievement in the first term. But because we have a docile people, docile masses, gullible masses, those in government are just focusing on the next election.
Are the people really gullible, or they are just tired of going to the polls every 4 years and actually not getting what they want?
You cannot be tired. You cannot be tired when you are hungry. You cannot be tired. But we have people who live on hope. That's why Tinubu called his own agenda the renewed hope. Hope does not put food on the table. Hope is not a strategy. I have said it over and over. But we have a country who believe on that it will get better, it will get better. But with APC in power, it can never get better, because they don't have answer to the economy, they don't have answer to the security, they don't have answer to inflation. All they know is the next election, and that's where their focus is, and never on the welfare of the people.
Talking about the welfare of the people, it's quite unfortunate that news of insecurity has dominated our news bulletins for a while now. And I'm not just talking about our news bulletin as in Voice of the People 90.3 FM. I'm actually talking about news reports, newspaper headlines, and all of that. Quite unfortunate. The president recently gave marching orders to security chiefs to make sure that they do everything to phase out insecurity. Now, while he's giving these marching orders and they're saying, oh, now we're ready to work, get on the field and make sure that people are safe and secure, by 1 a.m. this morning, the people of Goa West local government area in Benue State, particularly Agbo Dengaf community, 7 people have been killed, other people have been abducted. Recently, the Benue State governor said, oh, it's not Nigerian Fulani headsmen. That is not like they are not Fulani headsmen, but that they are not Nigerians. The Fulani language or the Hausa language that they speak is different from what the Nigerian Fulani extraction speak, that they are coming from other parts of the Sahel, from Niger, from Mali, maybe from Cameroon. They are just other people who are making inroads into Nigeria and killing people. As at the time he said that, a lot of Nigerians said, look, this person just wants to protect the Fulani ethnic group. That's the situation, because people who are being attacked are saying, look, it is herdsmen that are attacking us. We know these people, we recognize them, we see them all the time. We tell the governor about it and he does nothing about it, only to turn around and say, oh, it's not them, it's people coming from outside. Doesn't this actually speak to the failure of security on different aspects, whereby we are instead of admitting that, oh, there are people who are actually within us killing us, you're saying it's because our borders are porous, that's why these people are able to come in and kill us? If you do not agree to identify the root problem, how can you find a solution?
Well, go and check the map of Nigeria. Benue has no border with any country. Understand me? Benue is not. Benue is in the inside. So now saying that it is non-Nigerians, to me is admittance of failure. It doesn't make sense. And when you don't have a sense of responsibility, you will not want to do anything right. Last week on Monday, the National Security Advisor was in Benue State. It was in Benue State that he said that Tinubu inherited a terrible administration that with regard to insecurity. So for me, I know that he just wants to be heard, because that's not what the National Security Advisor is supposed to say. And for Tinubu giving a marching order, when you employ people, they have accepted the work that you've given to them. Do they need a special day for marching order? It doesn't work. The truth is that they don't have answer to the insecurity in the country. They don't have the political will, because they know what is happening. They know where it is coming from. But they are treating these people with that as special people, because there's no way you give permission for some people to be carrying AK-47. Why, when you see somebody with a damn gun, you would arrest him and prosecute him? I have said it over and over. Until they begin to disarm these herdsmen, they are not ready to fight insecurity. Until they begin to disarm these herdsmen, they are not ready to fight insecurity, because one, these herdsmen are not the owners of the cows. It is the politicians. These herdsmen cannot afford to buy AK-47. You cannot get AK-47 less than 5 million naira. These herdsmen cannot afford the AK-47, which means it is the owners of the cow. It is the politicians that are giving them those guns that they are now using to terrorize other people.
The weapons are to actually protect themselves from attacks from any more raiders, but then they turn around and use it against the innocent
when
people. One has a weapon, it's almost as if, I can cause problem, who's going to stop me?
Yes, but they are being given that gun because there are these excuses that we go into the forest, we are being attacked by wild animals, we need protection. But hunters who kill lions, deer, tigers in the bush don't carry AK-47. They use a den gun. They use a double barrel guns. But why should herdsmen be allowed to be carrying assault guns? So the truth is that this government is protecting them. This government is protecting them. That they are not a Nigeria
protecting or ignoring. Protecting or ignoring the menace.
They are protecting them, not ignoring them. Because you heard of the Jackson in Taraba State, Sunday Jackson, who in self defense killed a herdsman that came to his farm. Supreme Court condemned him to death. Even in law, provocation is allowed. Understand me? So it means that these herdsmen are given special treatment. Their life is more important than that of other people. Remember what happened in Uromi. Within 24 hours of killing those people, over 40 people were arrested and taken to Abuja. Up to today, have you heard anybody that have been taken to Abuja from Plateau State or from Benue State? So this government know what is happening. They know the people behind it, and they are protecting them.
Well, we'll continue to call for a phasing out of insecurity so that Nigerians can actually enjoy good governance. Let's quickly talk about the House of Reps Committee grilling the River State Administrator, Vice Admiral Ibok Ete Ibas, behind the closed doors. And one would wonder, where is the transparency? This is a man that has been summoned more than once and refuses to show up, and the time he shows up, you send the press out of the room to talk to him. If the House of Reps is saying, they will not condone anything that seems like it's just a one-man show in River State, even though that is what it looks like, how come when it is time for you to actually talk to him and let the people see that you are being very, very transparent, you then send the press out of the room to talk to him? How do we know that what is being discussed is for the good of the people of River State?
Well, The guy now, the Ibas, whatever is his name, that is now in control of the ports of River State. He is now, and River State is the second richest state in the country. There's a lot of money in River State. 2027 election is near. These people need money to prosecute their election. And mind you, the committee that was set at the National Assembly was fought for because they are going there as part of their oversight function in making laws and so on and so forth. So they want something which they may not want to discuss in the presence of the media. They want something which they may not want the media to know about. There's no transparency in this country. So they want to do their own deal, cut their own part of the river's cake. If not, why sending the media out? Is this a secret society?
They want to cut their own cake. What if it's just sensitive, sensitive discussions that they have to have because the sole administrator has expressed his displeasure over the recent wave of protests in the state. Today, people are protesting against him, that they want Fubara back. The next day, they are protesting to say that, they actually accept emergency rule and the position of a sole administrator in the state. And he's saying, look, all of this, your protest is not allowing me to focus on my work. All of you should go and sit down somewhere and stop protesting and let me focus on what I'm here to do.
No, River State is not in danger. River State is not in danger because the 10,000 security that they deployed to River State under the disguise of emergency are still in Port Harcourt. They have not been deployed to the local governments, which means there's no security breach in River State. Protest is a normal thing. Protest happens every day. It's not a new thing. They are not burning tires. They are not destroying buildings. So there's nothing. Even if it's on the issue of security, media need to disseminate information. Then why chase them out? It's simply because they have a special deal, which the microphone must be switched off. That is the only reason. They have a special discussion which the public must not know. And you
believe that this discussion is not for the good of the people of River State or the country at large?
It cannot be for the good. If it's for the good of the people of River State, the media would help to disseminate it.
All right, let's quickly move on from this topic because of our time and talk about Saraki declaring that the PDP is better with a few loyal members. So whoever wants to defect should defect now so that the party can be repositioned for good. He's saying it's important for the PDP to re-strategize for the good of all Nigerians, for the good of the country, that there is no cause for alarm by the defection that has hit the party. He's also saying that when the defectors have all gone, then the PDP can stay focused to play the role of a viable opposition. Is he trying to admit that the PDP has not been playing the role of a viable opposition, that they've been lax, that they've been lackadaisical in their role, that they've not been speaking with a united voice? Why is it when everybody has defected that they want to actually focus? Are they saying that they saw this coming and they want the people who are not part of them to go before they will start discussing what will actually move the party forward and how the party can position ahead of 2027? Because the PDP is looking like it's not ready. The Labour Party, other opposition parties, they're all looking like they are not ready.
Even what Saraki is saying now, I said this thing 2 years ago. I say what you're saying now 2 years ago. I say PDP should expel Nyesom Wike, the so-called G5 governors, Ayo Fayoshe, Bode, George. All of them should be expelled.
By the time they all go, who will remain in the party?
Excuse me. You don't mix a grain with a chaff. It is wrong. It is wrong. I say let PDP sack. I said it over 2 years ago. Let PDP sack all the saboteurs inside them. let them go with their supporters. Then the genuine ones will remain. You begin to rebuild. You cannot, because you want numbers. You bring scorpions, snakes and lizards, and millipedes into the same basket. They will be fighting each other. So for me, let all these saboteurs go. When they go, even if it's 1 million PDP members that remain, they will start a rebuilding. That's the only way to go. So for me, those who want to defect should defect. In politics, secrecy is very, very important. What you are thinking must not get into a wrong ear. What you are thinking must not get into a wrong ear. So it is very good that all these saboteurs, they come to APC, so that without it, PDP will not reinvent itself. Without it, PDP would not be stronger. So let all these people, the G5 governors, Ayo Fayose, Bode George, let all of them join APC today and tomorrow. Let the genuine PDP people remain. Even if it's just 500,000, they will begin to rebuild the party. That's my stand. I've even said this thing more than 2 years ago, that all these saboteurs in PDP should be sacked. That is the only way for the party to get back to its former self.
Thank you so much, Mr. Peter Anoske, for joining me on the World News at 12 this afternoon. I do appreciate your presence, your analysis, and your input. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
You have been listening to the World News at 12 right here on Voice of the People in 1993. Just before we wrap up, let's take a look at the top stories again. You heard that suspected herdsmen have killed 7 in a Benue midnight attack. World Bank reveals more Nigerians expected to fall into poverty by 2027. Reps Committee grills Rivers Administrator Ibas behind closed doors, and Kyiv Mayor reviews Ukraine may give up land for peace. That is a wrap on the World News at 12. My name is Chioma Innocent. Good afternoon, and thank you for listening.
Please note, the views and opinions expressed on this program solely those of the individual contributors and do not necessarily represent the official views of the Voice of the People 90.3 FM, Lagos. We do not endorse or take responsibility for any content shared